and everybody look at you and they, say shit.
Welcome back to another episode of Another Act. I'm your host, Kelley Carter. Joining me today is a man who made our most favorite profane word, the elongated version, so famous. And now he, of course, is starring in a new Spike Lee film, The Five Bloods, Mr. Isiah Whitlock Jr. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being part of this. This new film that now is streaming on Netflix, it looks at, four Black Vietnam vets going back to Vietnam to search for something. Considering the documentary slices that Spike Lee puts inside of the film, it really reflects, I think, a lot of the currency and the current of what's happening right now. Was that part of the buy-in for you? Did it feel like this would be telling a very contemporary story?
It was telling a contemporary story, but also a story that was never ever really told.
Yeah.
I looked at a lot of documentaries, and you really didn't see very much about the African American soldier in Vietnam, even though they were dying in a disproportionate way. So you sort of had that opportunity to tell two stories. You could tell a contemporary story, but also a story about what had happened 40 years ago. And as you'll see in the film, we didn't try to go and make ourselves look younger or anything like that. It was like, we don't want to get away from the story that we're telling. And you'll just have to accept us as we are, as we tell this story. But we're dealing with something contemporary and something back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I actually really love that, because I think any of us who know Vietnam vets know that they still kind of still live in that moment, even though they are far removed from the war itself physically. They still are there, and that's kind of what I got from not seeing some CGI treatment of you guys looking younger in that film. It was that kind of what you were thinking, and the ideology, what you were going for with that?
Yeah, it was like, let's keep our finger on the pulse and tell the story. Let's not get distracted with, things, a lot of CGI. I mean, sure, you got to use some, and like, the crash of the helicopter and things like that. But you got to sort of you got to make sure that you tell the story, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to be key when people think back on it.
What does that mean to you to be starring in a film that feels so present and so relative right now?
It makes me just feel so honored to be a part of it. I didn't realize at the time that, the movie was going to be coming out with this all happening. But if the movie can help move the dial and get people to talking. One of the things I always tell people, I say, when you see this film, you're going to get a very good education in African American history, or you'll get some of that, things you didn't know, and fast forward to what is happening today. That is it's more important. It's 10 times more important than I ever thought it would be.
Curious to know who you pulled from to bring your character to life.
I basically, I could have gone to Vietnam, and so I was always terrified. And even when we were shooting the film, I was terrified. I remember when we got on the plane to go to Vietnam, there was like this small hesitation because of my fears back when I was in high school, and a lot of my friends were graduating and just immediately going into the war. I was terrified. I mean, I won't mince words. And a lot of that started to come back. But what I felt was I needed to be able to tell who my character was and what he was feeling and then and what he was feeling today, and be able to mix those two. I met a lot of vets growing up, which led to my being terrified of going. So I had to put a little bit of that aside, because you see in the film, Melvin is a bit of a free spirit.
Mm-hmm. This is a fictionalized story, but it's rooted in so much history, actually. Did you learn anything about this experience that maybe you didn't know when you were in high school, terrified of going to Vietnam, and also seeing your friends and contemporaries go off to fight in this war?
It was amazing how much I did not know
Mm.
about the Vietnam War. There was so much that I learned that I wish somebody had taught a little bit of that. It was a real history lesson on war. And just, you know, you always hear the term war is hell, but it really is hell when you see some of it and you're up close on it. And I think if the people who advocate war really saw the destruction and the people's faces, and what war does, I think they would maybe think twice about doing it.
When I was preparing for this interview, one thing that I learned about you that I did not know is that you're a former college athlete. You played football.
Yeah, I did.
What position did you play?
I was a defensive lineman.
Okay. Okay. So was the plan for you to play professionally?
I thought I was, but you know, you know, a couple of concussions and injuries said no. You know,
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
they used to call me 10 miles a bad road. So I was tough. I was tough. I was small,
Okay.
but I was very quick, and that was kind of like my thing.
Yeah.
But once I started getting hurt, your body starts to slow down, and then you know you're small and you're a bit of a target, and it didn't work out so well. But I did start off playing football.
And at what point did you make the transition into acting? How did that
After
happen
about
for
my
you?
second year in college, I just said I can't do this anymore. I got to find something else. I had thought about going into journalism and things like that, and then I started acting, and that's what I've been doing for my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, I've had my ups and downs, but I've had more ups than downs. I mean, it's been a great career, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, you've obviously had a lot of memorable characters over the years. One that people have been revisiting during this time, of course, would be Clay Davis from The Wire. What does it mean to you that people are that invested in Clay Davis all these years later? And some people, of course, are just discovering him for the first time, but love him even though he's a crooked politician. What does that mean to you?
He's not a crooked politician.
He's not a crooked politician. He's misunderstood.
He's a man of, yes, he's a man of the people. He's misunderstood. You know, everybody knows a Clay Davis in their life. You know, you know, you don't set out to. I mean, never in my wildest dreams would I think, you know, this character would take off the way it did. And I think a lot of that had to do with the writing. The writing was so fantastic, and you just had to lean into it. But it was a little weird at first, you know, when you're walking down the street and everybody look at you and they, you know, say shit. You know, and
I'm sure.
and I had a lot of, oh, there goes the shit man, there goes the shit man. And it's like, yeah, okay, all right. I said, this is gonna take some getting used to. But now I'm kind of used to it. I've kind of embraced it. I still think it's just funny.
Yeah.
But I see the joy that people get out of it. You know, the way I kind of look at it is, you know, Clay Davis was just one character. You know, I was fortunate enough to play the character so well that it's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. That's okay. But I'm always happy to show, well, you know, I can do some other stuff too, you know, and, you know, I can do this and I can do that.
Well, thank you so much, Isiah Whitlock Jr., for all the things that you do and all the kind of gifts that you have given us with these characters over the years.